Welcome to the Hardtech Podcast.
And everybody, welcome back to the Hardtech Podcast. I'm your host, DeAndre Harakas, with my usual suspect, Grant Chapman.
How's it going, everyone? Thanks for joining.
And we had a little bit of technical difficulties before we kicked on because Hardtech is hard, and that's kind of what we're talking about today, of course. We have Sam Holland from Informal joining us today. He's the co-founder and CTO, is also a notorious donut concealer distributor, something like that. So I'm just excited for him to share a little bit about that. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Donut concealer sounds a little more ominous than maybe it should be, but thank you for having me.
That's right. Dispenser, if I say it correctly.
yeah. Donut dispenser. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, to kick it off, Sam, would love to get a background on Informal. I think this is going to be a really poignant conversation around just product development in general. Obviously, Glassboard being a firm similar to yours, you guys have a little bit of a different model. But whenever you and Grant were originally chatting, we were talking about doing the podcast. I feel like there's so much value that both you and Grant can share about just that journey for founders as they're going out to build their first products. But yeah, to start off, would love a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, sure. So we're an 8-year-old company. I'm a mechanical design engineer by training. My co-founder, Nate's more in the marketing, go-to-market strategy. He and I met 8 years ago. We were supposed to talk about teaching a class on a makerspace about 3D modeling. That never happened. We actually just talked about our love of like freelance and consulting, and we started the business that night. What we realized was quickly that like when you become a freelancer or a consultant, that pie chart of responsibilities is not just like doing what you're good at, it's doing all the stuff that sucks as well, right? Like BD, payroll, tracking invoices, all that stuff. And we realized if we can take that burden off folks and just free them up to be really good consultants and freelancers, there's a lot of value there. And so it allowed us to really start poking people we knew in the industry and saying, hey, do you want to do some firmware dev, electrical work? And that network grew by word of mouth referrals. Other people said, you should go talk to my buddy. They're an amazing industrial designer. And fast forward to today, we have 500 experts, 500 plus. These are industrial designers, supply chain managers, marketing, manufacturing folks, any type of engineer you could imagine. The goal is clients come to us, they have needs. I matchmake. I find the right people in the network based on location, tools, availability, experience, what they want to be doing, how they work. So it's pretty cool. It allows us to put the right people on the team instead of the next person on the bench, and really build these hyper-focused teams or like these perfect one-on-one matches that are. It feels great when it works.
And it's hilarious that you just described like my journey of starting Glassboard. Like the first thing you do is like, oh, I'm an engineer. I'm good at all these things like design and prototyping and testing. And then you realize that 85% of your day is biz dev and payroll and accounting and legalese and contract negotiations and all the things that I now do full time and do zero engineering, right? Like any successful.
I'm doing that for everyone, right? Like I do 500 people's least favorite job.
Yep, exactly. It's one of those things like you become the monster you started as like a design consultancy to avoid, which is you do business instead of do engineering, right? So it's fun to hear that you've enabled people to just stay in the lane, right?
Yeah, it's like some people are just really good engineers, and it sucks that they have to be putting on their BD hat as well, right? Like, let them cook, and like our job is try and like keep them supplied with awesome work so they can just keep doing what they're great at. I'm wearing my engineering hat today. I used to have one that said sales as well, and I would literally like context switch. Because there's just like you wear all the hats running these businesses, but I rarely is the actual engineering hat on these days.
And I guess just to kind of color it in a little bit, because Informal and Glassboard are sort of similar, but sort of not. Maybe, Grant, you can kind of pick the differences in the firms, because I do think that in some cases it's like it makes all the sense in the world to go with Informal. In some cases it makes all the sense in the world to go with Glassboard. Just kind of making that, kind of drawing
For sure.
that. Yeah.
Well, I think that the fun part is you enable the unicorns to do what they do best independently. And I've built a farm where unicorns want to go live full time, which involves relocating and working in an office 9 to 5, which isn't for some designers or engineers. And what you allow people to do is keep that solopreneur mindset, but offload all the overhead, right?
Yep.
And I think that's the main delta from the engineer's perspective. I think half the people that listen to this podcast are probably the nerds is in the engineering seat, not the people that are looking to hire one of us. But I think for people looking to hire one of us, it's really, if you need a particular expertise, Informal might have that particular expertise stronger than like a Glassboard could, because I only have 20 people, and the likelihood that I have one particular expertise you may need that is really niche, it's lower than Informal likely having that person on the bench somewhere. Whereas we have a team that lives in a building and a room together, and that deep collaboration, like for like medical device and safety critical stuff, that's where that kind of gets important. And I think that's the delta there, like where you start stratifying from one model to the other. Sam, is that about right?
I think you nailed it. Yeah, where we exceed is folks who have limited budget, who want to go as far as possible on a smaller budget by tapping like one or two subject matter experts. We don't have overhead. We don't have a formalized process for like, this is the informal method right now. And so we can stay really scrappy. However, the trade-off can be exactly as you mentioned. Like you lose some team collaboration. Sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. It's a little less holistic of an approach. And my job is to try and build those teams and manage groups on larger projects. But traditionally, yeah, we're really good at like 1Z, 2Z projects where you have 2 engineers working on something. Things can fall apart easily if you need 5 mechanical engineers working collaboratively at the same time zone, right?
Yep.
So yeah, medical's a perfect carve out. It's like, I don't even want to touch it because it scares the hell out of me. And there's teams who are awesome at it because they work on this day in, day out next to each other.
Yep, it's a third of our business. It's one of those things that like we used to be really afraid of it until we got forced into it by a couple of clients that pushed us really close to the edge as like a wellness device with dreams of becoming medical. And once we realized like, oh, this is just paperwork that sucks, but we can understand this if we hire the right like regulatory consultants. And then we're like, all right, now we're in. And that was 6 years ago. And now we're like, oh, cool, none of this scares us. Yes, the paperwork still sucks, but it is a thing that we're comfortable doing. And like it's more eating your veggies than dessert, but the veggies make you healthy and make it like a good med device at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. And I think like, yeah, med, it's really interesting you mentioned. It's like almost medical, but not really. We work on a lot of projects where I'm like, are you okay? Like, all right, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's
not
medical.
Are you sure this is medical or wellness? Like you really need to pick.
Yeah, we're almost there, but we're not there. We worked on some projects that are, reading electrical signals from the brain or putting electrical energy into the brain, or I'm learning a lot about the carve outs and what is medical, like what's considered like a health and wellness product versus medical. I learned recently, like hard numbers. If you can extract key metrics, it may push you into the medical world. Where if you're like, you're healthy, like we're back in the wellness space.
Yeah, no,
so there's actually like some strategies you can take there too.
Well, and the lines are so fuzzy, and it's all about justification. Can you justify that you fit within their lines, right? Because it's self-select most of the time until you get your hand slapped, and then you got your hand cut in the cookie jar. But most of the time, it's self-select and keep within the lanes, and you're good to go.
Oh yeah.
So Sam, I'm curious on your side. So you like you mentioned, you're working with sometimes larger companies and also a lot of like earlier stage founders, companies, startups, and just helping them manage that gap between like idea and execution. And there's always that valley of death that exists in the world of hardware. I'm curious on like the top mistakes that you tend to see, or maybe pitfalls, and also on the flip side of that coin, things that founders do right that actually get them across that finish line to get the product into the world.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm going to sound like the most generic consultant in the world here, but things that people do right are listen to the experts. Like I've done a DIY project on my house, and I'm like, oh man, there's a reason they're experts here, right? And so that happens often in the hardware world where someone says, I can be pretty dirty with like CAD and I can build my own board and program firmware. And you look at what they're doing and it's really like maker tools. And that's
hobby tools.
Yeah. Now, please, please, please let us take you to the next level. And so the people who are really excellent understand exactly what they're making, the product fit, they're passionate about it. And then they say, okay, hands off. Now engineers, do your job, right? They're still the voice of the customer, but they're allowing the experts to do their jobs well. So those are my favorite types of people to work with. They understand what we do and the value of what we do, but they're not like overbearing.
Well, I think
I would say the biggest red flag I hear is I would do it myself, but I just don't have enough time.
Oh, like, that one's like terrible.
Yeah.
But to piggyback on that, I love the clients that are like what you said. They've got it as a hobby stage. They're bringing it to you or us, and we can sink our teeth in it because we know what their vision is. They've laid enough of the groundwork that we can build the stable version of whatever they're building. And then they become the world's best test engineer because they understand what they want. That's actually where like the client superpower comes in, that they are the ultimate user engineer, like beta tester, because they know all sides and they're just technical enough to be dangerous to poke at it wrong, to find things that your team would have never poked at wrong.
Yeah, I held these 2 buttons down for 30 seconds and,
and it blue screen.
Don't press those buttons, but someone else will. So like, it's good you did it. Like those kind of things are great.
No, that's awesome. And I think that, I completely resonate with your, having that client that's technical enough to help drive a team, right, to tell you what they want, but doesn't try and, I'll call it ride in the car alongside the team. Working alongside a client is always a challenge, both from a like accuracy, speed, and like vision, I think that gets so challenging because they're usually good at one, but not all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, in our position, we're mercenaries, right? And so I always think like, I have one or two opportunities to raise my hand and say like, hey, I would do this differently if I were you. And then I shut up and I say, you know what? I'm a hired gun, you know, you tell me to shoot, I shoot. But I get one or two shots to be like, hey, what if we did it this way instead? And so it's about like strategically choosing when to raise your hand and recommend and when to just like shut up and do the work. And it's a skill we've developed over, you know, the last 8 years as well. And we can point to projects being like, hey, if you don't do this, here's all the projects that have failed. And if you do this, here's the clients that succeed, right? So
I suppose to kind of like dial it in a little bit. So you guys mentioned like there's two kinds of clients, right? We've got the clients that, you know, take a step back, they're the technical founder, they're the best user tester.
Yeah.
And then you also have like the clients that are like wanting to be basically side by side, but also hiring the outsource consultant. How could you describe how to be most successful with a firm like Informal? And then maybe Grant, you could do something similar like, because I think that might be, you know, we always talk about good or bad clients. That's fine. But I don't know how much we talk about how to be a good client. And there's like kind of best practices and to get the most out of the partner that you're working with.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good contracting analogy. Like, you know, we're getting a wall that's going to get knocked down soon. And a bad job would be like, change this room. And they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know.
But fix bid it.
Yeah, the other side is like, I want to swing the hammer, but I want you to like sign off on all the structural things, right?
Yeah.
You want someone in between being like, this wall has to go, replace it with this. I don't really know these details. Can you help me fill in the blanks? And so they just know enough to like scope and then say like, I'm going to step back and let you guys do the work, but I'll check in and this is exactly what I want. I don't know if that was a great analogy, but it's really like, I built the thing, it's working, I know what I need to make. Can you help me make 1,000 of them? I'm here if you need anything, kind of.
Yeah.
No, I actually think it's pretty fair because I do think that in my background, so Sam, I don't know if we talked when we first jumped on, I ran a software company for 4 years and used an outsourced software development firm to make my product. And yeah, it's a little bit, you're still contracting out work. And I think you're doing a demo in your home. It makes sense to kind of like get a scope and like, what is my new outdoor patio going to look like? But not the same when it comes to building the actual product. It's a little bit different. Grant, what did you say there?
Well, and I think like piggyback, like you've never written a line of code. You've literally started, launched, raised, and then sold a software company. You've never written a line of code.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you are an ICP. You're an ideal client persona. But I bet you one of the first partners you used wouldn't describe you as an ideal client. You became one later.
That's right. I was a very terrible client. I was the one that wanted to write. I thought I could write code. No. The answer was no.
Yeah, and it was one of those experiences that like, it's always better for second-time founders or people that have built a product at a corporation before because they know the pitfalls. They don't know how to fix them. They just know that they should avoid them, and some expert can tell them where the stove is hot and not to touch it. And I think, Sam, to double-click on your analogy, I want one of two people. I either want someone who tells me they're so naive they know nothing. Hey, I know nothing. I have a problem I'd like to solve. You're experts. I will tell you my budget and my user needs, what I need it to do at the end of the day, and you guys take care of all the messy middle. Yeah. Or I want a client that is like, I know exactly what I want, and I want you guys to lay it out for me, and that's more engineering service, which isn't our favorite work, but it pays well. And we'll happily work alongside those clients because they actually understand when things get hard, how bad it is. So my least favorite clients are in the middle of that right, of being an expert and complete novice is, what is it called? The Dunning-Kruger syndrome, right? Where you know just enough that you think you're an expert and really you're at the beginning of your journey. Those are the worst. Why is this so hard? Couldn't you do this in an afternoon? Like 4 months of work
if
later.
I had 2 more hours, I'd do it myself. Or my buddy's a mechanical engineer. He said he could do it in 5. I'm like, cool. Come on back when you need us. Like, I'm starting to become the grumpy old engineer far too early on, where I'm just like, all right, I'll see you later. Like, we're here when you need us. But like, you know, we've had some amazing clients. We love working with them, and like, it's hard to find that. You never know up front when you're like, this person's going to be amazing or not.
Right.
And
they'll surprise
part of my job now is education, and that's what I really enjoy doing is meeting with folks who pass that upfront sniff test. Where I'm like, I like you. You're chill. You want to learn. Come with me. Let me show you this like magical world, right? Like, here are all the roles. Here are all the acronyms. Here's how long things take. Here are the pitfalls we've identified doing this hundreds of times, right? Like, that's a landmine. Don't go over there. Like, that is my favorite thing to do, is just guide people and help them understand it, and then supplement them with just experts who can do the work. when that works perfectly, it's like this is magical.
No, and it's got to feel magical because we've got a couple of startup clients that we've worked with over the years that I've actually done like hiring for them, where I will be the person that does the recruiting and like plants employees at their shop that I now work alongside. Like my team works alongside their team. And those are the magic moments that just feel incredible, that not only do you help them build a product, but you've subsequently as a partner helped them hire and build a company, which you are effectively doing. You're helping them hire individual contractors that they treat as de facto employees.
Your kid's grown up, kind of. You're
Yep.
like, oh, you're getting married. That's awesome. Yeah. That's good. It's always nice to
honestly,
see, like,
another question I've got for you, Sam, as well, and Grant too, like in the world of hardware product development, you have like, we're talking about the good clients and bad clients and how they can be better. Let's turn that around a little bit. So what are the things that these startup founders or product leaders at SMBs or enterprise level companies need to be looking for in the product development firm that they're going to choose, right? I think, and I would love to get your guys' thoughts on that. And like, what are the red flags you can see? There are horror stories, and the only issue with hardware is that if it goes wrong, it can go really,
It goes really wrong.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like any other space, there are folks who mean well, and there are folks who are predatory and take advantage of people. And I've seen both. And it sounds crazy, but I actually offer to founders and anyone I talk to, I say like, hey, go quote out elsewhere. I'm happy to review your quotes and I'll give you some questions to ask to kind of poke in deeper. Like, you ask a design firm, how many products have made it to market? That usually tells you how good their design for manufacturing chops are, right? Like, a design firm can make you any shape in the world. It does not mean it's manufacturable. So how many of those make it to market kind of tells you like, what is the DFM chops of that team? Or you talk to an engineering firm, how many of these were on schedule? Or, like what are some of the pain points? Like, anyone can put anything on a website and be like, we made this thing. But being able to tell that whole story of like, yeah, we actually went to Canada and we were on the factory line and we like, the wiring harness was in the way and so we had to move it. Like those kind of like war stories, if you can talk about it in depth and you've actually been through it and you learn from a product design experience, like that validates more than a pretty render on a page.
Oh, I agree. And double clicking into that, my favorite one is I tell people, is that firm going to fix bid it for you? Because if they're truly going to fix bid it, you probably should run. Like if they tell you, hey, we think we can reach this earlier milestone for X, and we think the project's going to cost Y, but after X, we've got to go revisit and see where we're at, or they're T&M or they're retainer based like us, like then it's a real conversation.
Yep.
But if any firm tells you it's fixed bid, they either have built exactly that, and you're going to get someone else's product with your name on it, which is fine if that's what you want.
Yep.
Or 80% of the time, they're just lying to you, and they're waiting for you to make one change order, and now the cat's out of the bag. Now it's a T&M project plus.
I've seen this with firms too. People say like, hey, I found this factory in China and they said they can do all the engineering for me and I just pay tooling, and I'm like, run away, because what's going to happen is you're going to receive it, you're going to have issues, you're going to want to break free of that company, and now you owe them $150K of engineering services.
If you want to take what they gave you somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've done that multiple times. We've actually had to go back to ground, like to stage one and rebuild a product for them because they don't have source code, they don't have CAD files, they just have the external shapes. It sucks. And so, I'm here waving my hands, be like, don't do this, pay me money up front. It's kind of a weird thing to explain. But, and as you said, with fixed fee, like if you're building a house, we're going back to the house again. If you went to a construction company, you said, I want to build a house without giving them any specs, and they're like, here's the cost, that's terrifying, right? Like, do you have a basement? Is it on a slope? What kind of materials do you want? There's a million questions. How many floors is it? You need to do that upfront work and figure out what you're making before you give a quote. And if not, run away.
Well, and it's, the triangle of fun is good, fast, cheap. We always say in Glassboard. And if you fix bid it, the vendor is now in control of all three of those legs, right? They might have to cut features or make them cheap, right? Like not do good quality work on those features to make it in budget and timeline they promised you, or vice versa. Rather than when you work with a firm and you're buying effort and hours, the founder's in the driver's seat of, oh man, this is really important to get perfect. Or, you know what? That feature is good enough. Let's ship it as is, even if it breaks 10% of the time. It's a user need that no one's going to get hurt by.
Exactly. Yeah, I can be on every call you want at T&M. If you think it's valuable to do another call, let's hop on a call. Or I once drew this graph of like, it's the worst image I ever put online, but it's a T&M project. It's a fixed bid project.
Yep.
And it's client versus like consultant, and the consultant loses value over time, and the client gains value over time.
Yep.
And there's one like snap moment in time where both parties are like, this feels equitable and fair.
Right, yeah, that both parties are equally happy or unhappy depending on how the project went.
It's like a very small inflection point where everyone's like, I'm getting my billable rate that I want, and I'm feeling like I'm delivering, and I'm not getting like overextended here, or the client doesn't feel like we're overpaying.
Yep.
Every single fixed bid project goes south at some point because of that, where it's like, I already paid you for this. What's going on?
Oh, can we talk about one more thing? Do you ever get pressure to try and take equity for work, or do your informal members get pressure to take equity for work?
We do. And it's something Nate and I talked about a long time ago. We work, I think, similar to any other firm, which is like you mark up rates. That's how you make money. It's very hard to mark up equity. So like from a selfish standpoint, we're like, I don't think it's good for us. But also like, I've had a lot of ideas that I think are good and they're not. And we can talk more about the donut holder if you like. But like at the end of the day, labor is labor, and like people need to pay bills. And unfortunately, like we're just not in the position of being able to accept equity. And we've tried a few times on like a few occasions of like, let's give it a shot. It just doesn't, it doesn't work well. And I'm guilty of this. We're trying internally to kickstart our ideas. Something that like, I have an idea, I'm working with the team in my network. We're going to try and build a product. The problem with equity, among other things, is you're not getting paid per hour. And so immediately this project becomes the lowest priority item on your list, right? The thing that pays you is high priority, or the thing that's on fire or is stressing you out. But the thing you're doing for potential future funny money is like, I'll kick that one till tomorrow. And that happens over and over, right? So there's not that like pressure to like keep it top of mind and move it forward. And I've tried to explain that to clients, like, we can do equity, it just will never get done probably because there's something else in front.
Well, and ironically, the client views it the other way. That because it's equity, you should be along for the long run. And even if you've done the work product that you quoted that you exchanged that equity for, they're like, well, now you're part of the team. Like, you have to help me finish this. And finish means make the company profitable, not just get it to manufacturing, whatever the next step is. And it is misaligned incentives unless you just actually acquire that engineer's co-founder. Then it's their company and they own enough equity and control of the upside that it makes sense. And I keep trying to explain this to clients that want to exchange equity for work. And Sam, we're mirroring your inputs. Like Glassware does not take equity for work. We are a cash-based, for-profit engineering rental farm, right? And that's what we do best. However,
that's what you want.
the leadership at Glassboard, we're all angel investors. We're in a local VC network. If you go pitch our angel network and like we want in, we'll write you a check. And you can just endorse the back of that check straight back to us and we'll go put it toward your retainer. But it's on the same terms as other VCs. Because I think so many startups wreck their cap table by exchanging equity for services. And they're never captured in like a VC raise or a convertible note or a safe or some standard form. And the valuations are all off.
Yeah.
And someone leaves that unhappy, and it's usually both parties.
I will say that I do think I agree with both of you guys. So the software development firm that I worked with, the CEO and a couple of the partners invested in my company. But they did it individually, not as the main company.
Exactly.
And it can be a strategic move for the firm to invest in that company. Let's say, in this example, let's say I was raising $500,000, and that group, the partners within that firm put in $100K at the current valuation. Well, if you help me close my round, and I have $250,000, $300,000 slotted for development, you've kind of just helped us. You've kind of hedged your bet a bit, assuming I raise the rest of the capital. Towards closing that round and ultimately turning back around and spinning that with the firm. And so there's a couple areas where I think it can make sense. It's always a risky bet because obviously the founder needs to close the capital, and maybe it's a little bit of a murky business to kind of get into that, but you are just kind of gambling a bit at that point. I would say that's the only area where I think it might make sense.
Well, but it's all you just described exactly how it should work.
Right.
The founders actually want to go make a venture bet that the service firm doesn't go have to make. Right. And I think that's the clear delineation. Like, I'm sure Sam could go angel around and feel really good about angeling in a client. Like, I have no problem angeling in a client. Like, yes, my team probably shouldn't listen to me push them harder for that client because I have a vested interest, but it's healthy. It's a completely, at arm's length side. So I think that's super fun. So outside of good clients and bad clients, Sam, one of the questions I want to ask is the one superpower you must have is tech stack. Your tech stack must be every CAD package ever you have a consultant for, every simulation package ever you probably have a consultant in the wings for. Like, it's something I'm jealous of because we carry probably 5 CAD licenses to different softwares alongside the core one that we use as a firm to interface with client work. That must be such a superpower for you when you're doing, talking to potential partners that need help, that you can work in their native file format with someone on your team.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of that where people come to us with their own, like, they have to use NX. I'm like, I don't have one, but I know someone who does have that license. So that's huge. But also, what I think is really interesting now is we're kind of like feeling the winds shift. Like this, we saw SolidWorks forever being the dominant CAD package.
Yep.
I hear Onshape a lot more, and I'm like, let's go. This is great.
Yeah, we're in Onshape, and it's incredible.
And it's cool to like, I see it with the freelancer side, I see it with the client side. I literally am feeling the shift, and people are saying, I need local support with Onshape, or, Fusion 360 was huge for a while, and it's kind of petering off now, and like that kind of trend stuff is really cool. Ultimately, it's whatever the freelancer or consultant is most comfortable in their tools, because we don't pay for their licenses. I can't dictate it.
Right.
And that's a double-edged sword. That means, yes, I'm going to have somebody in the network who has Creo, NX, Fusion, whatever, which is awesome. But it also means if I need somebody with a SolidWorks seat and they don't have it, I'm like, okay, we got to go look around.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened.
Or client, you need to provide a seat, because we've done that a lot. We've had larger like enterprise clients that just give us a VPN access to their network license suite, and we'll check out their license to work on their CAD.
We had a client recently where I literally offered to get Chromebooks and load them up with Onshape and like break them in half at the end of the engagement. Like IPs on it, boom, all gone. We'll throw it away. Yeah, we're weird. We can do whatever you need. Same with simulation packages. We have folks who have their own RF chambers and they can do like pre-scan FCC testing. Like there's a lot of generalists and there's some really amazing specialists that we can tap, and that like superpower is really cool to say, yeah, let's do a pre-scan test with the dude I know down the road. And then, we'll go back to the core team and give them the results and they can tweak it. That ability to like swell up and down as needed is crazy.
Well, and I'm jealous that you make money on both sides of that. As a founder, like I recommend a lot of consultants to my clients that aren't on my team, and I don't take any cuts or any of that. You likely have a person on your team that you're at least, your core business model gets a cut of the pie of an expert in X field, which is really neat.
And like, there's a few folks where like we have an AR expert or a pure like ray tracing optical person where I just say like, go talk to them. It's not worth me getting them on board for like onesie twosie projects every few years.
Right.
So we just have like a handshake agreement on a referral, like, hey, send me a portion of that back, or like send folks our way. That's not where our money's being made though.
Yeah.
But it's just cool that like say we have the person for you. It's very rare where we're like, we don't have someone. We met a team that does F1 race car simulation. So we have them in our back pocket. They can do like crazy FEA simulation. They've simulated vehicles blowing up like a landmine underneath a Humvee. Where do all the constituent parts of the Humvee land?
That's hilarious.
And how do we make that better? I can't do that in Onshape simulation.
Nope.
Like that's some crazy ANSYS work, and these folks are like experts at it, right? The coolest like tangible use case was this solar speaker we designed a few years back. This has solar panels on all sides.
Oh, nice.
And our electrical engineer was like, never done solar. How hard can it be? And hit a roadblock, raised his hand, and we were able to bring on another expert in solar for like 5 hours to say, like, this is your charger IC. This is how you wire your panels. Watch out for this. I'm here if you need me.
Yeah, you need maximum peak point tracking. You need an IC that can vary current and voltage because panels want what they want and they won't listen to you. And then you pump that into a battery with a little charge pump and you're good to go. Hilarious. No, it's a great example.
Wire it like this. Don't do that. I tried this once. It didn't work. Those little just like put blinders on the team and just help them figure it out. It's so cool.
No, that's awesome. And again, I think the other thing that must be super rewarding for what you get to touch is my team only gets to touch, our whole projects in a given year, right? I think we probably touch 50 individual people, and then we will then touch, maybe 10 core projects, right? And I think the challenge we'll have is that we only see probably 2 of those to market any given year. You probably see dozens of products to market every year because you have 500 people that are touching X piece or Y piece or Z piece, which is so neat.
Yeah, we're definitely like, I think the number of clients active right now are nearing 100. At a time, right? And so there's various levels of where in this phase of work they are. Some clients are doing staff augmentation, others are doing full product design. But yeah, like the sheer quantity of stuff being made by our team, it's so cool.
That's awesome.
And kind of going back for a minute on like the manufacturing partner stuff and like the referrals, the same way we don't take equity, we don't make money on manufacturing referrals. It's like, and I see that as a good thing because
we're the same.
Like you want a client to talk to somebody who's good versus the person who pays you. And it's almost
right.
And you want a design firm to go beat up that manufacturer during QC and first article inspections, not be in their pocket just trying to get it to manufacturing.
Exactly. And similarly, we have separate QC teams. So like the factory, if you talk to a factory and have them do an audit report, they're going to be like, everything came out perfectly and we're geniuses. Like we're the smartest, best factory in the world. That's not a good audit, right? So you send a TAC team of 4 folks in from Hong Kong for a day, and they come in and they like, I've seen them run their finger on the top of a clean room and look at the dust and be like, what is this? Why is there dust in here?
Yeah, this is not the definition of clean.
Yeah, like that's what you want. You want those 2 teams, and you're not making money from referrals there. You're just saying this is the best person for the job for you.
And going back to our prior statement, you want someone paid for their effort because that aligns incentives correctly.
Yep.
Right? Like they are just there to do their job to the best of their ability in that given hour. And that makes sure they're there to do it for the long haul for the right reasons with that client in mind. Because our reputation as consultants, yours, mine, all of your people on your team, our reputation is how we sell. We aren't there to burn bridges and just to, what is the old adage? If there's not money to be made in doing it right, there's money to be made prolonging the solution as a consultant. Like that does exist, but only with, not above board consultants. And people like you and I will tell our clients up front what takes a long time, where things are slipping and why, and how do we as a team collectively want to figure it out? Because I want you to get to market because I want you to want me to put that on the website so I can advertise that we did that.
I work on projects every year, and part of the reason is like a little bit more guarantee that hopefully that one will go to market. It's like an investment in marketing capital. It's like we need new images on this page. We want good testimonials. We want happy clients. I love doing the work, but I also realize I probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But also land and expand's real in this industry, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Often we get called in for, can you just remodel this one thing for me?
Can you simulate this one little thing where our industrial designer has a question about, and then you end up having to re-engineer the thing?
Yeah, and the whole team's working on it, but in a good way, not a bad way.
No,
it's you have firmware developers also? And our hard part is, how do you communicate that? Because we're not just engineering, we're not just design, we're not just marketing, manufacturing. It's this weird collective that everyone's like, collective, what does that mean? And what it means is talk to me if you have needs, and I probably have the right person for you.
You guys are problem solvers. I mean, at Informal, that's what you guys really do. You've collected this huge group of people that can solve a problem, and if you have one, then you guys are the ones to go to for it. Sam, we got started a little bit late, but I have to ask you the last question I always ask is what would be the advice that you would give someone setting out to build a net new product in the world? They're looking at different firms. They're thinking about what getting their idea together. What's just the advice you have for hardware founders?
Talk to me.
I love that.
I mean, do your research. Understand what you get from each type of firm. Again, industrial design firms, we work with them often. We love them. They'll give you a beautiful rendering, sometimes a good product that can be manufactured. Engineering firms can't do the design usually. They can engineer the hell out of it. Like a factory can manufacture the hell out of it. So it's like, where in that stack do you need right now, and how do you make sure that you're not redoing the work each time? So research who you're working with, understand their pros and cons, how do they hand things off, what's the quality work they can do. And literally come talk to me. I would say I talk to people every day, and some of them turn into work. Others are just hopefully I've set you in the right direction of who to go chat with.
It's totally right. Honestly, that's the same ethos.
It's how we operate. It's like if I can't help you, I know someone who probably can.
Yeah, it's all about the network.
Yeah.
It's all about the network. Everybody, this is the Hardtech Podcast. I'm your host, DeAndre Harakas, my co-host, Grant Chapman.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Sam, thanks for hopping on.
And Sam, thank you so much for being on here. Love the conversation. Everybody tune in for next week.